Okay, so let's get started. I hope you are able to see my screen.
Yes, Rahul.
Yes,
Yes.
Rahul.
Sure, thanks. Okay, so yeah, let me start with my introduction first. So this is Rahul, and I'll be your instructor for the entire Selenium classes. So as far as my experience is concerned, I'm having over 15 plus years of experience in software testing itself. I used to work as a test manager with one of the company in Gurugram in India. And I am into corporate trainings as well. So I've delivered many trainings in various automation tool, in which Selenium is obviously one of the major automation tool. I've been working on Selenium from past more than 10 years, and where I've designed various automation frameworks. I've handled automation teams. I've delivered many corporate trainings in Delhi, NCR, in Bangalore, in Mumbai, in New York to Shutterstock.com, in Seattle to Spoken Communication. So that is pretty much about my experience completely from testing background itself and majorly into automation. So I hope most of the audience over here are from testing background. Anyone from development or any other background as well over here?
Yeah, Rohit, I'm from a non-technical background.
Okay, you're from a non-technical background. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How about others?
Rohit, I'm also from the different profile.
Okay,
I'm
so
in IT. Yeah.
first of all, this is not Rohit, this is Rahul.
Oh, Rahul. Sorry, Rahul.
No, that's
So,
fine.
Rahul, I'm also from a different background. I'm from a product support engineering.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I did testing like the manual stuff. So,
Okay. Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's great. And today we have mixed audience. So like there are some people who have already completed the core Java sessions and now they are starting with their Selenium sessions. And there are many people who have recently enrolled or joining as a demo session. And like they'll be starting with their very first core Java session from next weekend. So today is like an introductory session on Selenium. So it is equally important for the people who have already completed Java because they're starting from scratch in Selenium. And for the people who don't have any knowledge in Java, any knowledge in programming field, so it's equally important for them to attend this session, because in this session we'll be understanding like how we're going to get started with Selenium and why Selenium is very popular in industry. If we talk about any opening in industry these days, let's say if you're planning to move your career in testing, not even automation, even for manual testing, then Selenium is like a prerequisite these days. Every opening that you're gonna find across globe, like they have Selenium in their job description. So why Selenium is very popular? Why not the other automation tool? Right. So we're gonna discuss about all these points. But before we get started, do you guys have any questions, anything to discuss before we get started with the training?
Yeah, Rahul, I have one question. Like, what will be the entire duration of this course?
So
Just
total duration of this course is gonna be 3.5 months. It's gonna take to complete the Selenium plus the core Java part. So core Java itself is for 6 weekends, and Selenium will gonna take at least 7 weekends.
okay. So I
Right.
have completed the core Java one last to last weekend. So for
Okay.
us, it will be 7 weekends.
Yes,
Okay.
and each session will be for Java, for Selenium will be around 1.5 to 2 hours, depending on the topics we are discussing.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
classes will be on Saturday and Sunday.
Thanks.
Okay.
I do have one question. The same question which I've already discussed with you earlier. That what will be the job prospects for someone from the non-IT background? Although I'm a BTech, I'm also a BTech, but I'm
Uh-huh.
from mechanical engineering,
See,
and I have huge gaps and lot of variations in my resume. So,
mhm.
but I mean, so what will be my prospect? If I
See, if you're
just
planning to get into the testing industry, it's true that, I mean, you have to do a little bit of struggle. Struggle in the sense you have to learn latest technologies in automation, right? You have to build your resume according to that, right? Because freshers are actually not welcomed these days, where the competition has grown so much. But yes, if you have a sound knowledge in automation, if you have that skill set with you, then you can start applying for the interviews. And like at times there are immediate hiring as well, even in manual testing, even in automation. And if you are very good in knowledge, then you should be able to crack the interviews easily. So you need to keep on giving interviews, back to back interviews.
okay. And what will be the job prospect from here? And I mean, are there available opportunities for someone
The
with someone
companies
with a profile like mine?
companies keep on they keep in touch with us for the openings, not only for the experienced people. We come across openings where we get openings related to internship as well, even for freshers as well. So we have a group telegram channel basically created where we keep on sharing these openings. And then there are some other openings as well, so which you can directly get in touch with us, so we'll let you know about those openings. But yes, it's not like in if you are in a technical field, if you are in specifically in coding, in automation, so there is nothing called as 100% job guarantee. No one can assure you that. It's only your technical skill set, the knowledge that you're getting. If you're applying the same, if you're putting the same thing in your resume, and if you're able to explain the same concepts in interviews, you should be able to crack the interviews easily.
And what will be the, I mean, for someone with a profile like mine, what will be the salary bracket? And they
See,
can,
salary bracket, there is no limit in salary in automation. There is no limit. But
no,
yes, to
just to
just
start, just
to
for a start. So,
get started, so at least you can expect a package if you are applying in Delhi NCR region. So at least you can expect 2.53 per annum as a start package. And then as soon as you proceed with the experience, there is no limit in packages, and automation are equivalent, and I've seen more than even what developers are getting.
Do you have
okay.
opening for international students?
Yeah, I mean, we do get openings in USA area, in UK area as well. So, but yes, those are not very frequent as compared to what we get in India area. But yes, like we come across those openings as well. So I'll be sharing them in the group. So as soon as I receive it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi Rahul, this is Anamika. So I have one question. So basically, I have 6 years of experience totally in manual testing.
Mhm.
So my question is that after doing this course, so we are good enough to crack the interview in automation, or we
See,
need anything else?
if we talk about Selenium, Selenium is only and only for UI automation. UI
Yeah.
means that you can automate websites using Selenium. These days, the frameworks which are designed, which are in the combination of UI plus API and some of the DevOps tools as well, you should be familiar with, because in Selenium, in automation itself, we use many DevOps tools like Jenkins, like Docker, like GitHub, like some cloud integration. If we talk about AWS, Azure, so like you should be good in these three areas. If you have these three things in your resume, then you can easily crack interviews. But yes, at least like after learning UI automation, Selenium part, you can put these things in your resume. Whatever topics that we are going to cover, you can have your resumes, your project stuff with these topics. Even if you don't know API automation part, if you have ever done manual testing, like using some API tools like Postman or
But
so.
yeah, I have done API testing. I have used Postman for API, so I
Yeah.
have done that API testing.
So yeah,
But
at
yeah,
least you can put those things in your resume and you can start applying for interview. So after the training, you can tell them that you are already working in Selenium from past, let's say you have 6 years of experience. So you can mention at least 2-3 years that you're working in automation. And like for UI automation, you have a separate team for UI automation, a separate team for API automation who is using REST assured. So you are a part of a UI automation team. So that is what you can tell. Until that time, if you get the knowledge on API automation as well, then combine these two things and try applying for interviews.
Okay. Okay, thanks for the information.
Sure. So API automation batch as well, we are going to start somewhere around 9th of March. And the best part is the timings of this batch is going to be 6 p.m. IST till 8 p.m. IST. So just 2 hours before the batch that is starting today. So this Selenium batch will be 8 till 10 IST. That's 8 till 10 p.m. IST. And API will be 6 till 8. So these are the two batches which you can attend it in parallel.
So,
Three point
Rahul,
five-
sorry to interrupt you. So, what is the duration of this API testing course?
This
How-
is somewhere around 2 months. It's gonna
2
take
months.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. So 2 months for this and 3.5 months for this. So you can say within 3.5 months, you'll be good in both UI plus API automation.
So we can avail this course in this lifetime membership,
Yes.
or we have
Yeah,
to?
if you are already a lifetime member, you need not to again enroll separately for API or for the DevOps. DevOps as well, we are going to start from 2nd of March. But the only like clashes, these two batches are going to clash at the same time. So
Okay,
people
at the same
who
time.
have already completed API earlier can join DevOps, and people who have not yet completed API and DevOps can start with API first, and later on, once you're done with these two courses, then you can go for DevOps. Because once the DevOps batch ends, after a month or so, we start another DevOps batch. So till that time, you can get yourself comfortable with the UI and the API part. And again, you need not to wait for batches to start. You have the recordings available with you as well from the previous entire batch. So you can even start going through the recordings. You'll be added to the groups. If you changes, you can post it in the WhatsApp groups as well.
So should we get the invite of this 9th
Yes,
March?
yes,
API
you'll be getting like the one for Selenium you got in the groups. So you'll be getting it for API as well as for DevOps. So don't worry about it.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Sorry?
I didn't get that.
Are we covering both Postman and REST assured
Yes,
in
yes,
API?
yes. Postman for the manual part, and then rest assured is for the automation.
And
can I get-
time duration is like 2 months, right? You said?
Yeah, around 2 months. So 2 hours each
And
session.
how about DevOps? Time
DevOps,
duration?
same. It is going to take at least 2 months for DevOps as well.
Okay, okay. And
you
after
say-
like this API batch will be done, there should be another API batch, right?
Yes, I mean,
Because I'm going
after
to cover
every
DevOps this time.
after every 3 months, we start a new API batch. So
After 3 months.
yes, I mean, once this ends, then 1 month gap will be there, and then the next batch will start for API.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Thank
which
you.
one is the 8 p.m.? Is it rest assured? Is it the API?
Rest
Which
assured
is
is for API automation. Yes.
Is it the 8 p.m.?
Sorry, didn't get that.
Which one is 8 p.m.?
APM is for mobile automation. So there's
Okay, APM.
for mobile automation, which is called as APM. APM is a wrapper over Selenium. If you know Selenium, you can work on APM as well easily. So we'll
So
discuss
Rahul,
about
do we have a mobile automation testing class?
we like started one batch of APM Python. We don't have any APM Java batch right now, but there is a whole big course on APM Java which is already available in a video library.
Okay.
For that. If you know Selenium, then APM is just a wrapper over Selenium. So same methods, same thing works in APM as well. Just that you're not automating UI, you're automating a mobile app. Only the configuration is different. Rest coding remains the same.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I have one question, like when this core Java, like what is the timing for this core Java class?
It starts next Saturday, same time, 8 p.m. till 10 p.m.
So what about the Selenium? So these
Same
both
time,
will
but
have.
this is because Java is taken by a different instructor, and Selenium I
Mhm.
myself will gonna take. So both the batches will be parallelly at the same time. So people who are starting new will be joining the Java sessions first, and people who have already completed Java will gonna come for the Selenium one.
Mhm.
Okay, okay. So the duration is 6 weekends, right?
Around 6 weekends, yeah.
Okay, so after 6 weekend, I think we have to start from core Java and then we
You
can
will
move
start
on to
with Selenium.
Selenium.
Once your core Java is completed, you'll be starting with Selenium with me.
Okay,
Uh,
okay. So I think we have to start from core Java first then.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Are
Hello,
we
Rahul.
starting
Hi.
Saturday?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi, Rahul. Monica this side.
Hi, Mark.
Rahul, actually, I just want to know, currently I'm working as a manual QA. So, if I don't want to start because there is some issue at my side, so is there any training, any course start of Core Java in mid of March?
Not mid of March. I mean, core Java starting from next week itself. So initially, we'll be starting with the basic concepts. So in case you missed to attend some sessions, then you can easily go through the recordings of those sessions whenever you have time, and then you can continue with the batch.
Okay, okay. And
Because
I just,
initial sessions will be very, very basics about
acha,
introductory
okay,
to Java. Yeah.
okay, okay. And Rahul, after completing our course, we will try for the job openings, and you are also arranging if somebody is linked with
Yes,
you
yes.
some
We'll let you know
organization.
about the openings as well. Yeah, that you keep on getting in the groups.
Okay, okay, okay.
Is it Saturday or Sunday? We're starting next week.
Thanks, thanks. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi Rahul, Gagan this.
Question.
Yep. Ma'am.
So in this batch, are we going to cover core Java as well?
Yes, we'll be covering core Java as well. So today is like an introductory session. The next week, very next week, you'll receive the meeting invites for both Selenium as well as the Java batch. So if you're starting with Java, you need to click on that meeting invite and you'll be getting the WhatsApp group for that particular core Java batch as well.
Okay, because I have attended core Java, so I will be directly
So then
eligible
you'll be
for the
starting with
Selenium.
Selenium. You'll be starting with
Okay,
Selenium.
okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, Rahul, Gagan this side. So we will get the recording through an email, is it? I mean, whatever.
You'll be getting your account on this. So I believe students who are already enrolled, you must
Yeah,
be having access to
yes.
all these courses.
Okay.
So let me show you where the recordings will be hosted. So these are all the courses from the live batches as well as the pre-recorded courses. So here you need to go inside this Selenium 4.0 core Java. And here I'll be adding a new section which says batch Feb 2024, and the recording will be posted over here.
All right. Yeah, thank you.
This way, if you want to go through the previous batch recordings, you can even go through the previous batches over here. So complete training is already available in the recording. So if during the weekdays you have sufficient time for practice, you can even go through these recordings and you can complete the entire training on your own as well.
Do we get the assignment also in
Yes,
weekdays?
a lot of assignments will be provided. A
Okay.
lot of live websites you'll get for automation.
Yeah, thank you.
So Rahul, just one question.
Mhm.
So person like me who doesn't know Java, like ABCD of Java as well, or who have never done any coding, so I
Mhm.
can also pick up, right?
See, that's what I mentioned in the beginning. 80% of the people in the group are from manual testing background with no programming or very less programming experience. So we're going to start everything from scratch. And don't worry about the programming part because programming in Selenium is not like a developer level programming. So it's like you need to know the basic concepts of programming. So that is covered in core Java only. There is no advanced Java required in Selenium. So only the basic concepts, basic OOPS concepts, basic if, else, loops, array, collections. These are something which you may have studied a long time back in your school time or graduation time. But since you have not implemented those things, you must have forgot everything related to programming. So, but same concepts now we are going to study in a practical way, so that this should help you in building up your base for automation. And once you implement the same concepts using Selenium, then you'll never gonna forget those concepts.
Thanks.
Sure,
Can I ask you, please, Haru?
sure, Greg.
Do you still have plans for Python as Selenium?
Python Selenium plan is also there. The instructor is a little occupied with his releases at the moment. So most probably March first week is what we are planning to start with that batch. March 1st or 2nd week. Selenium Python will start.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. Any more questions, guys? So that we can get started.
Yeah, hi Rahul, Khushbu this side.
Yeah, hi, Kushbu.
Yeah, Rahul, I wanted to know during the course or maybe once the course is finished, like we guys are going to do any hands-on on the live project, or we
Absolutely.
will be getting any opportunity to work on any live project?
Yes, we'll be working on 2 live projects. We're gonna design end-to-end frameworks from scratch, and like it's not like I'll be showing you some project of my organization and then gonna explain you the code. It's not like that. I'll be designing the entire framework from the scratch, so that in the same way you can implement it in your organization if you want to. Let's say there is no automation in your organization and you want to set up some organization, then set up some framework for automation, then you can set up the same from the scratch. And Selenium, like automating the website, after 5-6 sessions of Selenium, you'll be capable enough that you can automate any website in the world easily. So website automation is not at all a big stuff. The actual thing is to work on a live project where we need to do a
Yeah.
lot of integrations, right? So that is what we'll be learning it step by step from the scratch. So after that is what I said. I mean, after the course, if you want to put at least 2-3 years of experience, you want to show that you're already working in automation environment from past 2-3 years, then you should be able to justify it if you thoroughly practice these things.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And coding wise, is there any difference between the automation for the UI part, like the website automation, and for the mobile automation?
No,
Like,
there is no difference. No difference.
Mhm.
Same level of coding is required.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once you're comfortable in UI, then a mobile part you should be able to do it within 15 days on your own as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Yeah, thanks.
Sure. Okay, so we'll take up other questions in between. Let us get started with the training. So the very basic question before we start, what exactly is Selenium? Anything and everything that you know about Selenium, just let me know. What exactly is Selenium?
Selenium is a browser automation tool.
It's a browser or web-based automation testing tool.
And it is open source.
It's open source. So it's an open source. Open source means no license required to work on Selenium. It's completely free of cost, right? Like there are other automation tools as well in the market, like QTP, UFT, like RFT, and number of other automation tools where some license are also required. In case of Selenium, no license required, completely free of cost. Anything else
And it
apart
is
from this?
platform independent.
Okay, it's just platform independent. So means multi-platform support is there. Platform or OS support is there. So what all platform it supports? It supports Windows, Linux, Mac, Solaris, iOS, Android. All major operating system in the world are supported by Selenium. Bipin
And
says,
it supports multiple
sorry,
languages as well.
multi-language support. So what all languages it supports?
Java, Python,
Java,
Python,
C#.
C++, C#.
not C++, C#.
Mhm.
Then Ruby, JavaScript, PHP, etc. So Vipin says that it's a jar file. So it's a jar file when we are using Selenium with Java. If you are using it with Python, it's a pip library. When you're using it with C#, it's .dll file. You're using it with Ruby, it's .gem file. Same way for JavaScript, PHP, there are different bindings available, right? Okay, what else?
It supports multiple browsers.
Multiple browsers. So multi-browser support is there. So all major browsers like Chrome is there, Firefox is there, Safari is there, then Opera is there, then IE is there, Edge is there. All major browsers in the world are supported by Selenium. Anything else?
It is API.
Collection of APIs.
Collection of APIs. So
Collection of classes and frameworks.
it's collection of
Interfaces.
API, classes, and interfaces. Okay. Anything else? Which company came up with Selenium? Anyone? Mozilla? No. Okay.
ThoughtWorks.
Correct.
ThoughtWorks.
ThoughtWorks. ThoughtWorks is the one who designed the Selenium in 2006. So long time back, almost 18 years. Selenium is in the industry, right? Can anyone tell me the developer name as well who started this project?
Jason Higgins.
Jason Higgins, correct. So Jason Higgins is the one who actually designed this project. And the very first version of this project is Selenium 1.0. So how many components are there in Selenium?
Selenium IDE, RC, WebDriver,
ID, RC,
WebDriver,
WebDriver,
and Grid.
Grid.
Grid, correct. In which WebDriver was not there in Selenium
Selenium
1. So WebDriver actually came in Selenium
2.0.
2.0. So what all components were there in 2.0? ID,
IDE, RC, Grid, and Selenium. Sorry,
and
WebDriver.
correct. And what is the current version of Selenium?
4.2.
4, Selenium 4.
Selenium 4. Selenium 4.0, and the release is 4.17.0. The build number is 17.0.
So are we going to learn Selenium 4?
We are going to learn Selenium 1. No, we are going to learn Selenium 4 only. So when Selenium 4 is the latest one, why are we going to learn 3, 2, or 1? Right? So we'll be learning Selenium 4. Okay. So Selenium 3. What all components were there?
Only WebDriver.
Only WebDriver?
Yes.
How about others? Guys, I really want this session to be interactive so that you should not feel like that you're taking an online session. You should feel like you're taking a classroom session. So like in classroom, we have a lot of conversation, right? So I want that everyone should participate in the conversation, right? So this will also help you in your learning as well, right? And you're not gonna feel boring because programming is something like which is a little boring. But when we are learning programming in automation, it makes it very interesting. So that's the only request is everyone should participate. So if you don't want to unmute yourself, you can also post your answers in the question and in the chat box as well. I'm going through the chat box as well. So I'm gonna revert you back on your queries. Okay, so in 3.0, we have IDE, we have WebDriver, and then we have Grid. All these three components. And what do we have in 4.0?
WebDriver.
WebDriver. And
IDE and Grid.
ID.
ID, and grid. So it means all these three components are there in Selenium 4 as well. Now, what is the difference in Selenium 3 and Selenium 4? So the difference is the architecture. So we're going to have a detailed discussion about Selenium history, right? Then it will be very much clear to you. But before we get started with Selenium, as you have mentioned, yeah.
One question. Yeah. What exactly are components?
Components are like the features, or you can say, let's say there's a tool. A tool contains so many features. So you can say these are the features which you can like implement in your project. Like if we talk about IDE, IDE is something like a plugin. Selenium is available as a plugin to your browser. So this plugin is actually used for record and play. So if you want to see Selenium, if you are looking at the plugin looks like this. This is Selenium IDE. Now what this looks like a tool, right? This look like a tool, a plugin. You can use this and you can automate your website using a record and play feature. So if you talk about competitor of Selenium, like who is the biggest competitor of Selenium? Can anyone tell me?
QTP.
QTP, QTP, UFT, and now these days many other automation tools are there who is actually into the same race. But when Selenium came into the market, the major market was of QTP. If you talk about automation, if we talk about automation openings, then you will see QTP only at that point of time, right? And QTP, which company came up with QTP?
Mercury.
Initially, Mercury, and then later on HP has acquired from Mercury, right? And then they have now renamed it to UFT. So if we talk about QTP or UFT, this is basically an automation tool. Automation tool as in you get a setup file. Setup file is somewhere around, let's say, 1 GB or more than that, which you double click, you do next on your desktop, and it gets installed on your desktop. After the installation, it provides you a platform, like a GUI sort of platform, where you can do scripting. You can use various features which are available in this tool. Right, and you can automate your website. You can do record and play. You can do scripting. There are a lot of features available. You can do a little drag and drop, and you can use those features as well. We can also say with little less scripting and more record and play, you can automate your website. But all these features are actually available in a tool which you have to install on your machine. If we are talking about Selenium is not a tool. We have mentioned over here that it's a web-based automation testing tool. Selenium is not a tool. You cannot install Selenium. You're not going to get any setup file, any exe file that you double click, do next, and it gets installed. It provides you a GUI. It's nothing like that with Selenium. You cannot see Selenium. Although this is one of the component ID, which we can see, which we can configure, which we can install it in the browser as a plugin. But this IDE is only for record and play. This is not at all used in the industry. When we are practically working in Selenium, when we are creating frameworks, we never use record and play. Everything is done through the coding part, through the scripting part. Whereas if we talk about QTP, if we talk about UFT, they have majorly invested in the record and play functionality. But still, as if we talk about current market, you'll hardly see any openings of UFT or QTP. QTP, UFT were very popular at that point of time. But as Selenium came into the market of QTP, UFT has gone like anything. So why it happened? Because Selenium is open source? This is not the only reason. It's true, QTP, UFT has got a heavy license cost. You need to purchase single user license, and it costs somewhere around 2000 USD. And if we are going for 50 users concurrent license, it's cost a huge amount. Whereas the same functionality, Selenium is providing you absolutely free of cost. Just that QTP can automate your desktop applications, plus it can automate web applications. Whereas if we talk about Selenium, Selenium is only and only for web-based application automation. So how many types of applications that we can test? Even if we talk about manual testing, what all applications are there that we can test? So we have web-based applications. We have desktop-based applications.
Mobile-based application.
We have mobile-based applications.
And also iOS-based applications.
iOS, Android are covered. iOS, Android, Windows. These are all mobile-based applications. Anything else apart from this? That
API.
testing. Cloud is, again, you can say a web-based only, right? Because cloud platform is available over the web.
So maybe React Native.
React Native is like either React Native mobile apps are there or web apps are there, right? This is again accessed by a URL only.
Yeah, I mean,
The area where you have performed testing, like
native
even
plus React. I mean, both the in
Mhm.
mobile play, mobile apps like web app plus native apps, both
yeah,
are
so that is a hybrid app.
hybrid apps, right?
Yeah, so that is again a mobile app. So yes, we have database based applications, right? We have APIs as in web services. So these are the major areas where we generally perform manual testing and we do automation of these applications as well. Right. So whereas if we talk about Selenium, Selenium comes over here only. Selenium is only and only for web-based testing. Selenium cannot automate desktop, cannot automate mobile, database, API. It cannot automate these areas. It can only and only automate web-based. Whereas if we talk about QTP, it can automate web, it can automate desktop. Have you heard about any tool for mobile application automation? A very popular tool?
APM.
APM, correct. How about database? Database like we have SQL, MySQL, Oracle, MongoDB, right? And number of databases are there. And there are APIs available to automate. Web services.
SEO.
Any tool for web services?
Postman.
Postman is for manual testing. For automation.
SOAP UI.
SOAP UI. SOAP UI is a tool where we can write little scripts as well. But again, if we talk about the demand of SOAP UI as compared to the other tools, other APIs, so they have already gained the market, like we compare Selenium with QTP. Same way, if we talk about REST assured API, you'll find n number of openings in REST assured API. So for the automation part, as compared to SOAP UI, right? And there is a reason behind that. So that reason will be clear in some time once we discuss about these things. But you can still see Selenium is over here. Then why Selenium is very popular? Why every automation opening has got Selenium in it? Why not other automation tools? So
Because
Selenium,
of open source, right?
yeah. Oh, I mean, APM is also open source. REST
Um,
assured is also open source.
Because
So
sir, every major things is on still on web-based platform. Like everything
absolutely.
is not on mobile right now. Like
Absolutely. Because majorly when you are testing things, even manually when you're doing testing, it's a time of cloud computing. So everything is on web, right? You're hardly gonna find desktop applications where you need to install that on particular machines, right? You get all the major softwares on cloud these days, where you can access your product through a URL. Your client can access it from any part of the world. So it's a time of web-based applications. So that is the reason if we talk about Selenium, Selenium can automate anything and everything over the web. Which is a website of Selenium? Can anyone tell me? Website.
Selenium.hq.
Selenium.hq. So seleniumhq.org was the old website.
Selenium.dev.
Correct. So selenium.dev. See, Selenium automates browsers. That's it. Selenium is only for web-based automation testing. No desktop, no other, right? Only and only web-based. And see, these are the components. So we're talking about components. One is Selenium WebDriver, one is IDE, one is this CRID, Selenium CRID. So what are these components? What they do? We're going to talk about it in some time. Like Selenium IDE, I've just shown you that it's just a plugin to your browser for record and play. Like if I click on this is a plugin, right? If I click on create a new project, give the project name, I'll give it as Google project. And then I'm going to click on OK. And then what I'll do, I'll click on, it actually opens up application. It does not open up the applications. Let me click on record. So we need to provide the URL is http://google.com. And now we're going to click on start recording. So you can see it opens up application, google.com. And now over here, you can see it's showing Selenium IDE is recording. So now whatever actions that you're going to perform over here manually, like you type Selenium, you click on this Selenium, you click on this link. So all the actions that we just performed are being recorded. And now if you close this, you're going to see all the actions are recorded over here. So stop it from here, give the test name, Google test, click on OK. And now what you can do is you can run all test, click on run all test. And then you're going to see a browser shows up, type Selenium, and then it clicked, although it has performed an incorrect operation because it should be clicking on Selenium only. It has clicked on the very first link. So we need to add some delay, some wait during the automation that we need to feed it in this. So up till here it worked. We need to add a little wait just before this step. And then we perform this and then we perform this. But this is like we have recorded a test and now we are playing it back. The other thing we could have done is, if we talk about, let me pause this. I could have right-clicked over here and clicked on export. And then you can see a lot of languages showing up over here. I'm going to select Java and click on export. And here I'm going to give this as Google test and see a Java file is getting downloaded. And let me download this and let me show it to you once it is downloaded. So this is the file that is downloaded. Let us open it. And you can see a code, a script that I got over here. From my automation that I just did, it has created an automatically generated script. This script further I can use and I can execute my test case. Now you might be thinking that, okay, there's a lot of code showing up over here. It might be a little difficult. It is not at all difficult. This thing, driver.get, driver.find element, this is very, very simple stuff. Because you may be seeing it for the very first time, so you might be thinking it as a little complex. But once we start it in our today's session, I'm going to show you this example. Then you're going to find, okay, this is very simple to implement. So this this Selenium IDE, it is one of the component of Selenium, which is used only for record and play. And this component is not at all used in the industry. If we talk about record and play feature of QTP UFT, they have majorly invested into that feature. There are so many things we can do using record and play. But with Selenium IDE record and play, it's a very small plugin. You cannot achieve much things in Selenium in your automation project using Selenium IDE. And there is a reason why we should not use Selenium IDE, because when we are working with Selenium, as I talked that there are like these are the components of Selenium. If we talk about these components in your entire automation project, these components are used only and only 25%. Selenium is used only 25% in your automation project. then what is the rest 75% things? What are the rest 75% things that we need to integrate with Selenium? Can
Java.
anyone?
Java code.
So core Java covers the major part.
Log4j.
Framework,
Log4j,
Cucumber, and all.
Cucumber,
POI.
page of data driven is there, right?
Apache API.
Apache,
Extend report.
Maven.
POI,
Maven.
Maven, extent reports, test
LU
and
report.
SNG.
Yes.
that comes in the reporting part itself.
Yeah.
Anything else? Have you heard about Jenkins?
Yes.
Yeah.
Heard about Git,
Git.
GitHub,
Yeah. Dependencies.
Dockers, right? So a lot of things. Java Mail API, database connectivity. We when we do automation, we generally not even automation, when we are doing manual testing, at times we need to get into the database to validate the data, whether it is the correct data reflecting on the UI or not. So that part as well can be automated, but not using Selenium, because Selenium is only for web-based automation. But we can integrate all these things with Selenium in one single project. Without these things, we cannot create an automation project. Right? So these are the things which covers the 75% of the area. And if we are using a record and play plugin, we cannot implement any of these things. So that is the reason ID is not it. It's a good tool for just a basic record and play. If you have a big application, you cannot automate it using ID. Ultimately, you have to be dependent on the coding part only. And for the coding part, which component is used?
Any ID, I guess.
No, which component of Selenium? Which component of Selenium where we use programming? WebDriver.
WebDriver.
WebDriver is the programming component where we're going to write some code. This code that you see over here, this is actually written in WebDriver. This is a WebDriver code. Right? So WebDriver is a programming part. When we are working with programming, we can integrate all these things in one single project. And what is grid? The third component. What is grid?
It is used for parallel execution.
Parallel test execution. So grid is
Running multiple tests
grid
against
is
multiple systems, multiple browsers.
correct. It's basically for remote test execution. So where, let's say you have one machine and then you have other machines, like other laptops connected to that machine. Right? So this, you can name it as, this is a main machine, which we call it as hub machine. And these are connected machines, which we call it as node machines. So this is node 1, this is node 2, and this is node 3. Now this could be on Windows. This node is also a window node running Edge browser on it. This is a Linux machine running Firefox on it. This is a Mac machine running Chrome on it. So all these machines are actually connected over the intranet to this hub machine. Right? And then we have our personal laptop where we have all the test cases written. Test cases. So here we have like 1000 test cases. Now, what happens is, what I want is, I want to test, like, have you heard about the term which is called as browser compatibility testing?
Yeah,
So
yes.
Yes.
generally in manual testing, we do browser compatibility testing as well, because
Cross-browser testing, basically.
cross-browser testing, correct. So our client wants that his product should be working fine on Firefox, on IE, on Edge, on Chrome, on all major browsers, and on all major operating system as well. Because end user could use any machine, could use any browser, and my application should be working on all the machines. So if we have like 1000 test cases written, if you're testing that manually for browser compatibility testing, then what we need to do, we'll allocate one resource, we'll test it on Windows on Edge. Second resource, we'll test it on Firefox on Linux. Third resource, Chrome on Mac. Fourth resource, on a different operating system and a different version of browser. So this is how we'll be allocating the resources, and all these resources will be executing same test cases, same 1000 test cases. They are going to execute on different operating system, different browser. So they're going to spend their entire day or 2 days in running the same test cases. So Grid basically automates this part. In Grid, there is no physical interference of any resource. We keep our test case on one machine, then we send the request to Hub that we want to execute these 1000 test cases on all these machines. And what Hub will gonna do, Hub will send these test cases for remote executions on these machines parallelly. So Hub, like parallelly, these 1000 will run over here, 1000 will run over here, or 1000 will run over here. You can even divide it. You can say 400 should run on this machine, 300 should run on this machine, 300 should run on this machine. So if some test cases are taking whole day to execute, if we divide it like this, then it may gonna take like less than half of the day to execute all the test case. So that is what Selenium Grid is. It is the third component of Selenium as per Selenium 4.0. Right? So we're gonna study Selenium Grid as well. So this is like one of the component of Selenium.
And in Grid, do we need to run concurrently or it can be time-based?
It depends on your requirement. You can have parallel test execution, or you can like run the test in a sequence as well. So that is decided by your test framework, which is TestNG.
So it is type of distributed testing.
You can say, yeah, we are distributing our test cases.
So we have to check the configuration of all the machines, like hub machine and other machines should be same. We have to check the configuration before testing our test
We
case.
can check, but in case of Selenium, there is no high-end configuration that is required. A basic configuration that a tester is using, same configuration can be on those machines.
Okay.
Right. So that is what your third component, which is Selenium Grid. Right. So it supports multiple languages. Now, what makes us best as compared to QTP UFT? We just discussed UFT is a tool. So if we if we install a tool provides us there's a boundary in that tool. Boundary as in a tool contains 100 features. We can use only those 100 features and we can automate our website, right? If there is some additional, when we are writing test cases, we do a lot of permutation and combination. Even if we have to test a login window, we end up writing 18 to 20 test cases for it. So for every permutation and combination, it is not mandatory that there is a feature available in QTP. Because QTP is a tool. A tool contains limited functionality. And using those functionalities only, you have to automate your product. If a functionality is there, you can automate that test case. If not, then you cannot automate that test case. So at times it happens, the functionality is not available. We go to HP, we ask for add-ons. They sell their add-ons as well to achieve that particular test case automation, right? They have an add-on available. So you purchase that add-on and you can automate that feature as well. So this is one of the biggest limitation of that product. Because if a feature is not there, we cannot automate our test case. So that's the reason we say 100% automation cannot be done. Because that tool is not providing you that 100% automation feature. But in case of Selenium, since Selenium is not a tool, There is no boundary in Selenium. So when I'm saying Selenium is not a tool, what exactly is Selenium? If it is not a tool, what is Selenium? It is basically an API, or you can call it as a set of libraries, or you can call it as a project. You can also call it as a framework. So what are these things? What is an API? What is set of library? What library consists of? Library consists of classes and interfaces. In a layman language, it consists the coding part. Right? It contains the code that a developer has written. Right? So tell me, like, I hope everyone must have studied C++ during your schooling or graduation time. Is there anyone who has never touched any programming? I'm not talking about you have implemented it, but even as a tester, even like as in a technical field, you must have studied some programming on your own. Everyone know what is a class, not the theory, but you must have heard about what a class is.
Yeah.
What is a class? What is object? Anyone who have never studied about this, say, don't worry about the programming part right now. We are not going to do any programming today. Right? Today, we are just going to understand what level of programming that is required to work on Selenium. Do we actually need to know advanced Java? No, we don't need to know. Right? Only the basic concepts. If you're very new to programming, don't worry about it. We are just going to understand the level of programming, which is like a very, very basic level, so that you should be able to understand. And even if you have never worked on programming, you should be able to understand what level of programming that is required, what level of programming that you will be learning in your core Java sessions. So it's not very complex level. Don't worry about the programming part. If you are new to programming, then just try to digest today's session as it is, because from the next, when the Java session is going to start, we'll be starting with the ABC of Java. Right? And then you'll be attending this introductory part again once your core Java sessions are over. So don't worry, you're not going to miss anything, even if you don't know anything in programming. Just try to understand the concept. Right? So Selenium is an API. So what is an API? Can anyone tell me what is an API?
Application programming interface.
Yeah,
Application.
it is a microservices which transform the data to front end to back end.
Mhm. Okay. So when we are talking about API, don't just relate it with web services or microservices. So those are also an API. Those are part of web services, right? But API itself is a huge term. Application programming interface. That's a full form. What application programming interface consists of? What an API consists of?
So it's
Basically, interchange the data.
Mhm.
It contains
Interchange the
different.
data between two different servers.
Okay.
like it is mainly used for sir communication between two applications, we can say, like
So
that is.
it allows communication between applications irrespective of their architecture and technology.
Absolutely.
It is basically a interface between the client and server.
Mhm. Yeah, these all things are correct, right? And what is written inside API is basically a code only, right? That code could be written in any language, and all the languages contains classes. If it is a OOPS oriented language, it contains classes, it contains methods, functions, right? And interfaces. And we generally need to inherit or consume those functionality in our project. And whenever we are consuming those functionality in our project, so that becomes as an API to our project. So let us understand this thing in a layman language, because people who are new might not be able to understand it. But guys, please put yourself on mute. There's a background noise. Pawan, from your end, it is coming. Please put yourself on mute. Thanks. Okay, so let us take a very basic example. Let's say I work as a Java developer with some xyz.com. Now here I got a task that I need to develop a calculator. So calculator, there are various operations in calculator. I need to design a calculator. So in calculator, I can do addition, division, subtraction, multiplication, and so on, right? There are so many features in calculator. Now, as a Java developer, when I'll be designing a calculator, so the very first thing what I'll be doing, I'll be creating a class with the name as calculator, right? Again, people who don't know what class is, just try to take it as it is, like very lightweight. Don't like this is something which is not very complex we are discussing. So, but just take it as it is. So, what class contains?
Variable and
Variables
method.
and methods.
Variables and
Contains.
methods,
Variables, data
Mm,
types, data members,
functions,
functions,
Method.
methods, right?
met-
So all
mm.
these things, it contains all these things, right? So means if I'm talking about add is basically a functionality. Divide is a functionality. All these are functionalities. These functionalities, I need to implement it inside the calculator. So what I'll do, I'll go inside this class and I'll create a function with the name as addition. In Java, we call functions as methods. So when I say method, it is equal to function only, right? So I'll be creating all these functionalities in a form of a method inside this calculator class. So addition, division, subtraction, and then multiplication. And inside this method, inside this function, I'm going to write some code which is going to add some number. Inside division, I'll write some code which is going to divide some number. Same way for subtraction, same way for multiplication. Now, once I'm done with all the coding, I want to test whether this addition method is working fine or not. It is adding some numbers or not. So what I need to do, I need to call this addition method from this calculator class. So how will I call it? How will I call a method from a class?
By creating an
by
object of that
creating an
class.
object.
Object of
Creating an object of a class. And what is the syntax of creating an object?
class name reference variable equals to new keyword and then constructor class that class name.
Okay, great. How about others? How to create an object? Class name?
Class name, then
Object.
object name,
Yeah.
then
Object name. What should I write?
equal to new
OBJ
It's
or
reference variable, yeah.
equal
Equal to
to
new
New
calculator.
calculator and then
Constructor.
Class name.
square brackets.
this one.
correct.
Yeah.
So in place of OBJ, I can even write XYZ. I can even give it a meaningful name,
Yeah.
calci, right? So in this statement, like we are creating an object of this class, and then we can call this method using the object. How we call it? How to call a method?
Calc dot
Calci dot
add.
add.
Calci.add. Right. If I run this much code, it is going to execute whatever is written inside the addition function. Then I need to call subtraction. I can say calci.subtract, calci.divide, calci.multiply. So one by one, I keep on calling these methods and it will execute the functionality which are written inside these methods, right? But in order to call these methods, I first need to create an object of this class. And this is the statement which is actually creating object of calculator.
I have
Now,
one question.
what is, yeah,
It is
just
like
one
a
minute.
obvious
Just
question.
1 second. So before that, what is an object inside this statement?
New calculator.
It's new calculator.
New calculator?
Object is calci.
Yes.
Object is
No,
calci?
No.
it's new calculator.
Reference variable is
New
It's
calculator.
reference variable.
calculator and
New
calci.
calculator.
What is your question?
What is an object inside this statement? In this statement, what is an object?
Calci is the object and new keyword is used to create that reference to that object in heap.
Okay. So you're saying calci is an object.
Calculator, which is in bracket, that is the object.
Calculator in bracket is an object.
Yeah.
This is an object.
New keyword create the reference to that object, and
Okay.
constructor is called to
Okay.
initialize.
New
What is
and
this?
calculator is the
What is
object.
this? What is this?
This is the
That
class
is
name.
Class name.
Class name.
Class name.
Class name. Anything else we call it as? Anything else we call this thing?
Kelsey is a class
Look.
calculator variable.
Apart from
Kelsey is the reference variable.
no, the highlighted one, the calculator. Apart from class, do we call it with any other name as well?
Constructor.
Data type?
maybe return type we can say, sir.
Type. Yeah, it's basically a type.
Return type, yeah.
Yeah, right. And this thing?
Reference variable.
Reference variable.
Variable. This thing,
Operator.
Operator, assignment operator.
this thing,
Keyword.
New is a keyword.
this thing,
This is constructor.
constructor. Correct. And this whole things actually create an object.
Object, yeah.
And then we assign it to a reference variable, right? Okay, so Kelsey is basically not an object. It's a reference to the object. It is actually holding the address of that object, right? An object is always created whenever we say new calculator. Now, how this thing is done, we're going to see practically using some editor. So right now we are writing the code in Notepad. Previous time people used to do Java coding in Notepad as well, right? But time have changed. There are various editors available which will help you a lot while writing code. If you're new in coding, if you don't understand even programming in depth, then these editors are actually going to help you a lot in your programming part, right? If there are hundreds of methods in the class, Pawan, please put yourself on mute. If there are hundreds of methods inside this class, you need not to learn all those methods. You just say Kelsey dot, it will show you list of all the methods and you can pick the methods from there. So some editors are paid, some open source, like IntelliJ is there, NetBeans is there, Eclipse is there. Eclipse is one of the widely used editor, right? We'll be using Eclipse itself and it's completely open source. We'll be using Eclipse IDE. IDE is like integrated development environment, not a record and play tool, right? So this provides you a platform where you can write your Java code, you can write your automation scripts and do a lot of things. We're going to see this. But there is a prerequisite to get started with Eclipse is that you need to have Java installed on your machine. Java as in JDK, Java Development Kit. And what versions are supported? The previous version of Selenium, it supports Java 8, 1.8. But now we don't need 1.8. Minimum requirement is Java 11. Don't install the very latest JDK as well, I guess 21 or some version is there. Don't use that one because you may gonna face little challenges while integrating other stuff. JDK 11, 13, 17, these are the versions which are very much like in use with Selenium and other integration. JDK 11 is one of the most stable version. I myself is using Java 11 only, right? So if you go to control panel, you should be able to see what version of Java, if you have already installed it, you go to this and see what version of Java is there on your machine. If it is showing you very latest version 2020 above, then simply click on that. Where is Java? Let me see this. See, this is
How about the 17 is fine?
17 should work fine. That's fine.
So
So
I have
simply
installed Java 21 on Mac.
on Mac, then I'll let you know the Mac steps as well, how you can just unconfigure it, and you just need to set up some thing in your Z profile. So that I'll let you know. But you need to get rid of that. It's a very simple process to uninstall it. So this is where you can, on Windows, you can uninstall if you see the latest version, right? Uninstall, and then it will not gonna interrupt any running program. Don't worry about it. Just uninstall it, and then simply go to Google and say download JDK 11 and install this version. So here, it may ask you for like you will see different Java packages over here, right? If you're on Windows, you need this exe. You're gonna get it over here. This is for Windows, right? Same way for Mac, for Solaris, different Linux, different operating system. These files are there. For Mac, you should be using this DMG file, right? Now, once you download this, maybe when you click on it, it may ask you to create a free Oracle account. So just create that account and then you should be able to get this exe file. Installing Java
Sir,
is like you're installing a simple software, double click on the exe, next, and it gets installed on your machine. Right
sir,
after,
one question I have.
yeah, Pratik.
Sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay.
Sir, like whether we use any version, but from the properties code compiler, we can change the version, right? So it
Yes,
will do do it will impact any the code.
I mean, compiler, I'm not sure if backward compatibility is available till JDK 11 or that you need to check.
Because I'm using 21, so I'm not getting any error.
If you're not
So
getting
what
any
I do?
issues, then that's fine. I mean, if you're not getting any issues with other integration, like have you tried integrating Maven, Jenkins, and other things?
No, not till now. No.
Okay, not till now. So basic Java, core Java will gonna work fine with all the versions, right? Basic Selenium will also work. But once we keep on integrating other APIs, then you may gonna face issues if they're not supporting the latest version. So that's what I said. If you have JDK 11, it should work absolutely fine. But if you have the latest version, then till the time you're not facing any issue, just keep it. If you start facing any challenges, then only you'll be uninstalling it and installing the JDK 11.
So can I hear just one question? May I?
Sure.
Yeah, so whenever we are installing Java 11, right? So when we integrate with Maven, it will suggest for the next version. So that's the best way to go about it, like updating the pom.xml.
In pom.xml, you need to provide some properties where you need to mention that Java 11 part. We will be covering this in the session.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rahul, one question. I have Java 8 on my system. Just now I checked on the command prompt.
No, 8 will
So
not work now.
I will have to uninstall and then install Java 11, right?
Yes.
And so whatever coding I have done, do I
That
need to
will
take
work absolutely
export or
fine.
in Eclipse? Okay, it will work.
Yes, everything will work fine. Don't
So the
worry.
workspace, I can use the same folder of workspace because my part, my code will have, like the source code would have same.
All the source code will work fine. All your previous projects will work fine. Don't worry about that.
Okay, so it's just that uninstall and install. Okay.
The only
Fine.
thing you need to make sure once you install the Java, you're gonna find your Java inside C drive, program files, and then you go over here, you'll see a Java folder. Here you'll see your JDK 11 folder. Now there are various integrations that we'll be doing while working with Selenium, like we'll be integrating Maven, Jenkins. All these things actually requires Java on your machine. And you need to tell them where exactly Java is there on your machine. So how we tell them? We actually configure this path globally in our system environment variables. So if
I will
you
have to change that as well, you are trying to
yes,
say, right?
exactly. Yes.
Okay.
So here in the search, when you type edit, you'll see edit system environment variable. Go to the environment variable, and over here you will see one user variable. You're not going to do anything over here. Inside your system variable, click on new, and then you need to type Java underscore home and paste this path. Pratiksha, there's an echo coming from your end. Please put yourself on mute. So Java underscore home, and then variable value will gonna contain your JDK folder. So this JDK folder, you need to keep it over here. So just click on OK, and you will see a variable created which is holding the address of this JDK folder of your machine. Then go down and you'll find a path variable. Click on edit. You'll see a lot of things already configured over here. Don't do any edit or deletion on these things. These are very crucial settings. You can see system 32 Windows setting is also configured over here. If you try to edit, delete, then it might corrupt your Windows as well. So just be very careful. Click on new. At the end, type %Java_home %. When you type this will bring the path of your JDK folder. And where is Java? Java is inside bin folder. Inside bin folder, you'll find Java over here. This is where the location of Java. So what you need to do, you simply need to say \bin. You need to give it like this and click on OK. I've already done it over here, so I'm not going to redo. Let me delete this. Once you're done with this, click on OK, and Java is successfully configured. Now go to command prompt and type Java-version. Should show you the current version of Java on your machine, like mine is Java 11. Once you are done with this, now you need an editor where you can write the Java code. So simply type download Eclipse. Go to this link. From here, you're not going to click on download. You'll be going to download packages. Because there are a lot of things which are supported in Eclipse. Even you can write C++ code. You can write like PHP code. You can write Python code. You can do a lot of integrations in Eclipse. We need Eclipse only for basic core Java programming. We'll be downloading this Eclipse IDE for enterprise Java and web developers. This is what you need to download. So based on your Windows, Mac, Linux, all these are available. Simply click on this. It will gonna download a zip file. See, on the status bar, it is showing .zip. So this is going to download a zip file. And I've already downloaded it. Once you unzip it, it's gonna look like this. So this is what zip file you're gonna see. Download the latest Eclipse only. And then you're gonna get, once you unzip it, you get a folder like this. Open this folder, you'll see Eclipse. Open it. You'll see a lot of files over here. Nothing to install, right? This is an application. Simply click on it. We're gonna launch your Eclipse. That's it. If Java is not configured on your machine, you'll get an error over here itself. If Java is successfully configured, then you're gonna get this screen. So it is saying that select a directory as workspace. So this is basically a location where you'll be creating your project. So in D drive workspace folder, I'll be creating a new project, a new workspace. I'm gonna name that workspace. Workspace is basically a location where you maintain your Java projects. So I'll name this as, let's say, batch Feb 2024 Selenium. So if I launch this at D drive workspace, you'll see there's a folder created, batch Feb 2024 Selenium. And any Java project I'm going to create will be inside this folder. Next time, if I have to refer that Java project, if I want to launch that Java project using Eclipse, I'll be giving the path of this particular folder. And my Java project will be launched, right? So right now it is taking a little time to launch. Yeah, let's start it. So let it launch.
So actually, Rahul, I had question here itself. Like I have practiced the core Java, I mean, classes and packages with Java 8, and now I'll be uninstalling and then installing Java 11. So my file will be there
No,
in my
you're not going to
workspace,
face
right?
any issues. You'll not face any issues.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Sure. So this is a welcome screen. Just close it, and this is how your Eclipse looks like. Let me close this as well. So this is where you'll be creating a new project. Here you'll be writing some code. Here you'll be getting the output of that code. So we're going to talk about Eclipse features as soon as we proceed with the course. So right now, what I'm working as a Java developer, and I am going to design a calculator which has all these functionalities available. So what I'll do is I'm going to create a project. See, create a project. I'm going to click on this. From here, I'll be selecting Java project. Click on next. So this is a template, step by step. You need to do it. From here, you'll need to give the project name. So I'm going to give the project name as calc project. Any name you can give it. Here, if it is showing you Java 17, then select Java 11 from here, right? And uncheck this module info. This is not required, right? So these are the steps that you need to follow, and click on finish, and you're going to see a new project is actually created. If you expand this project, you will see JRE system library of Java 11. Your internal Java classes are mapped to your project. So normally what happens is when you write your code in Notepad, if you have ever done C programming as well, you include some header statements, include conio.h, studio.h. Similarly in Java, when we write it in Notepad, we need to manually do all the import statements for internal Java classes as well. Import java.util.star, import java. A number of other libraries, right? When we're working in Eclipse, this is the task of Eclipse to manage. All the internal classes will be automatically added. We need not to worry about it, right? So we just need to focus on creating our own class. So how to create a class? Right click on SRC folder, which is a source folder, and say new, and click on class. So this is where you create a class, and you get a template like this. And here you need to provide a class name. So class name, you can give it as calculator with a capital C. Even if you write it with small c, it doesn't matter. But there are some coding standards that we will be following, something which is called as camel casing. We'll talk about what camel casing is, but you need to keep in mind that class name will always start from a capital letter. And then we're going to check on this public static void main. Click on finish.
So we should put in package, no, first, or it's okay.
Yeah, package. Right now, if you don't put it comes in a default package. So we'll talk about packages as well later on. So there is a sample code that it actually has given us. These are the comments. We can remove it. Now this whole thing is a class, and this is a class body. This class body contains methods. So this is one of the by default method in Java. By default method, anything you want to execute in Java should be present inside this method body. And this is called as a main method. Along with this, you'll see something in reddish color, something in black color. All these reddish colors are predefined keywords, right there. And we're going to study about what public is, what private protected. These are basically called as access modifiers, access specifiers. Then we have static, non-static member. We have void, int, string, return type to a method. This is a method. So don't worry about these things now. These things we will be studying in the core Java sessions. We have each, for every topic, we have each lecture in Java, right? So don't worry about it. We'll be covering these things in the Java part. For the timing, as I said, anything we need to execute, we have to keep it over here. So very first thing, when we start with the programming, we try to print something. Like if we talk about C, how to print in C? Can anyone tell me how to print in C?
Printf.
Printf, correct. How about C++?
See out.
C
See out.
forward.
See out.
Yeah. Correct. How about core Java?
System.out.
Very first thing is to print, let's say, right. This is the very first program that we print. And this is the run button. If you click on it, so you'll see hello world printed. But we are not here to print hello world, right? We are here to implement calculator. So in a calculator, we have various methods available. So I'll be designing all those methods, like public void add is there. Then public void, don't worry what public void is. So one is add, one is subtract. Now you can see method name always start from a small letter. See Java, even Java has started the method, main is a method, the name with a small letter. Something called as a camel casing. So what camel casing is? Camel casing, let's say there are three words, the dark night. If I write it like this is not very readable. To make it readable, if this is a class name, we started with a capital letter. And any joining word will be in caps. Same way, if it is a method name, start with a small letter. Any joining word should be in caps. This is what is called as camel casing, right? This is in a form of a camel. So now it becomes more readable. So whenever next time you're reading any Java developers project or code, you should be able to identify that this is a class, this is a method, right? Entire industry follows the same process of camel casing. So we'll be following the same. It's not like if I change this to capital letter, it will throw any error. No, it will not. But we need to follow some coding best practices. And for that, camel casing is followed. Right? So now we've created addition, subtraction. In addition, I'm going to write some code which is going to add some numbers. Right now, let's say we don't know much programming. So I'm not going to do the programming part. I'm just going to print something. Let's say adding some numbers. So if you call this addition method, it is going to print adding some numbers. Same way, if you call subtraction, it is going to subtract some. It is going to print subtract some numbers. And I'm going to create two more methods. So one is division and one is multiplication. So this is going to divide some numbers and this is going to multiply some numbers. And that's it. So let's say I've completed the entire programming part. I've designed the calculator project. I've added all the functionality. Now I want to test this functionality. I want to call this functionality. So where I'll be calling it? I'll be calling it inside the main method over here. And how to call this? By creating an object of calculator class. And what is the syntax? We have already studied here. So this is how we create an object of a class. So we'll say
Question here.
Yeah.
So to access variables and methods, we need to create object of the class. That is correct. But why we need to create object? Because of like Java is object-oriented programming language. That is why we are creating object over here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, even we can call the method without creating object as well, but for that method has to be
Static, yeah.
statically, right? Okay, so see, there are no errors over here. Why? Because this is a correct statement. Eclipse is able to understand it. If I make any mistake over here, Eclipse will highlight this in red color. Because Eclipse is not able to understand what calculator says. If you do a mouse over on this, Eclipse will give you suggestions. Create a class calculators. But why do we create calculators? We already have calculator class. So say change to calculator. We click on this, it changed to calculator. Now, when we say calc dot, it shows us list of all the methods that we have created. We have created addition, we have created subtraction, we have created division, multiplication, all the methods are there. We can call these methods one by one. So I called calc.add, run this, you can see adding some numbers. Same way, I'll call calc.subtract, calc.divide, calc.multiply. Save this, run this, and you can see all the methods are called. Now what I'll do, I'll create one more method, which has got a same name as of the class name. What we call it as?
Constructor.
Constructor, right? So when I'm saying this is like a method, I can write some code inside this as well. So I'll say calling constructor, right? So let us call this. So I'll say calc dot. I'm not able to access this. I'm not able to access this method. Why? Because this is not a method. So how to call this?
By default, it will.
It auto gets called whenever you create an object.
Correct. So what are constructors? Constructors is like a method having the same name as of the class name. This is also used to initialize variables. And this is the very first thing which is called as soon as you create an object of a class, right? So you need not to explicitly call it. Whenever you create an object, where we have created object, we have created object in this statement. Even if I don't write this, just one single statement, if I run it, the very first thing it will call a constructor. Because as soon as the object is created, constructor is called. Now, let's come back to the same question. What is an object in this statement? So many people were saying new calculator. Some people were saying calculator. Some people were saying calc. Let us assume this calc is an object. So what I'll do, I'll remove this. See, still it is a valid statement. There is no error in the statement. But if this is an object, if I run it, it should call the constructor, right? So tell me whether it is going to call the constructor or not.
No.
No, it's not going to work.
It's not going to, right? So let's run it. See, nothing happens. So it means this is not an object. Now, what I'll do, I'll remove this. Still, this is a valid statement. Now, if I run this, will the constructor be called or not?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
It will be called.
It will call.
It will be called. Okay, let's run it. See, this is called. It means this is where the object is being created. So if this is calling constructor, if this is an object, then why do we need this? What is the need of this calculator calci? We should not write this. We should only write this. Why we need that calci?
And one more thing before you go to that one. If you remove new keyword, will it work? I mean,
No.
how constructor different
No.
from method?
Constructor will not be called till the time object is created.
So it is a method. So if you remove new keyword, it will throw you an error.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Without this, you cannot call it. See, create method is asking to create this method. Right? So with this, it becomes a constructor. Okay, to call other methods, we need that calci, right? If we need to call addition, division, subtraction, we need calci, calci.add, calci.divide, calci.multiply. It means without calci, we cannot call other methods of the class. Or can we call it? Can we call
No,
other
we cannot
methods
call.
without calci?
Yes, using class name.
Using class
that
name?
is
Static method.
that is
No,
static.
I'm talking about these methods right now.
No, we
Don't-
cannot call.
We cannot call. Can we call?
You just put dot in front of it and see it is calling. This is also object.
We can call only one method. Yes, see. Add.
Yes.
We can still call. If I run this, adding some numbers. Now, how about calling division? How to call it? Again, I need to write this. Again, I need to say division, subtraction, multiplication. So it means in order to call 4 methods, I need to create 4 different objects. See, calling constructor is actually called 4 times. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? It means if there are 100 methods inside the class, then we need to create 100 objects to call those methods. Right? So this is not the way we should be doing it. So what we have done, wherever the object is created, we have stored that address of the object in some variable. We can name this variable as ABCD, XYZ, any name. There's just a variable name. So we generally give it a meaningful name. So we're going to test calci. Like we want to store some value, 100. Where we store it? In a variable, value equal to 100. What is the type of this variable?
Integer.
Int.
Int, right? Can I store it inside string?
No.
No.
No, it will throw an error, right? If I want to store it in a string, I need to
Double
put
quotes.
double quotes. Means if I want to store my name, I can store it inside string, but I cannot store it inside int, right? So what is string? What is string?
Class.
String is
a class.
The data type.
It's a class and it's a sequence of characters.
Correct. So string, if we talk about string in Java, if you mouse over, it says string class. String is also a class in Java. So if this is a class, then what is this value?
Reference variable.
It's a reference variable for string.
Reference
So if you
variable.
say value dot, it will show you list of all the methods inside the string class. Same way, when we are storing this value in a variable, what will be the type of this variable?
Class variable.
Will it be int? It will be of the same class type. So see, whenever we write, we change, if I change this to calculators, see what is the message it shows? Calculators cannot be resolved to a type. So this thing is basically called as a type. This is a type. This is a variable, assignment operator, keyword, constructor, and this thing creates an object. Now with this object reference, if you call any method, calc.add, calc.subtract, calc.divide, calc.multiply, and run this code, only and only one object will be created and all the methods will be called from the same object. Right? So this is like a very basic concept. Although we'll be studying about all these in the core Java sessions, right? But in order to make you understand what exactly Selenium is, what an API is, I need to write at least this much code. So don't worry about it. If you're new to programming, just digest it as it is for today. And once you start with the Java part, you should be able to understand these things, right? Now, let's say I've completed this calculator project, tested everything is working fine. Now I want to publish this project in the market. Why? Because I've written let's assume I've written 500 lines of code inside addition method with a very complex logic. Now, I don't want that whatever effort that I have added in designing this addition method, other person who wants to do the same operation should be writing the same code. I don't want that, right? I want this library to be available free of cost as an open source library, right? So I don't want to charge anything from anyone. Open source does not only means that it's a free of cost library. Open source means that anyone can contribute into the development of this project as well. So next time, if any developer comes in and if he likes my project, he can add more methods, more functionality like calculating percentage, square root, and so on. Right? So anyone can contribute in the development part as well. And if anyone wants to use it, Raksha, please put yourself on mute. So anyone who wants to use it free of cost is most welcome. He can like call these methods without writing the entire code again, and he can do addition division. For that, what I need to do is I just need to right click on my project. I'll say export. I'll go to this Java and I'll select jar file. Click on next and I'll name this jar file as, let's say, calculator version 1.0.jar, the very first version of my project. And I'll be storing it on my desktop. Click on finish. Now, if you go over here, you'll see a calculator jar file is generated. Now, if I double click on it, will it gonna install calculator on my machine? It will not, right? So this jar file contains only the information of what all classes, what all methods they are inside the calculator project. Even if a developer has not shared the code which is written inside addition method, we'll not be able to see the code, but we'll still be able to access the addition functionality with the help of this jar file. Normally in an open source project, people give away the code as well. Because open source means anyone can look into the code and can enhance this project, can add more functionality to this project, right? Now, what I'll do, I'll upload this jar file to my website. Why? Because website can be accessed from any part of the world. Now, from any part of the world, if someone wants to add, subtract anything, can go to my website, download this jar file, and can access the functionality. Right? So after developing this project, I quit this organization. So let me close this project. And I joined a new organization. Again, as a Java developer, I joined, let's say, American Express. And American Express is like, let's say it's a banking domain. So they already have some project implemented. They were having a class with a name as banking. So their banking domain contains some of the methods like public void profit, public void loss. So all these methods were already there in their project. And I was hired in between of this project. So they asked me to implement a functionality. Monica, there's a background noise coming from your end. Please put yourself on mute. Thanks. So they asked me to implement a functionality that could add salaries for n number of employees. So something like I need to create an addition method over here as well. Now let's assume if I talk about this addition method, it is similar to what I've created in my calculator project. But that was a very complex code I've written, somewhere around 500 lines of code. I need to rewrite the entire code here. I can do it, but it is going to take me days. But why to put that much effort? If that project is available in a form of an open source library, free of cost, I can download the jar file from their project and I can right click on my project, go to build path, click on add external archives, and I'll select this jar file and add it as a reference library over here. See, I got this project inside my project. If I expand it, you'll see calculator class, you'll see all the methods over here, addition, division. I'm not able to see the code because that developer might have not shared the code, but that's fine. I should be able to access the addition method. How? By creating object of this class. I'll go over here and say calculator, calc equal to new calculator, and I'm able to access it without any issues. Right? How? With the help of this jar file. If the jar file is not there, then Eclipse will not be, if I go to build path and remove it, Eclipse will not be able to understand what this calculator is. Because this class is available in a third-party project. That project I've added with the build path over here like this. Now I should be able to access the entire functionality. So functionality is I need to access the addition method. Let me change the method name to add salary. So how to access addition? By creating object and then we'll say calc.add. That's it. I've implemented the
Sorry to interrupt. I have a question here. So how did you create the jar file out of that calculator class?
You
Sorry, no.
just need to right click, say export
Okay.
Java jar file. That's it.
Okay.
Right.
So this jar file will be in which path actually? Again and then?
This will be downloaded as a .jar file like this, executable jar file.
Okay. Will that get stored automatically in a particular path?
Yes,
Because
the path you need to provide it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Right. Now let me add a main method over here because we need to call this add salary. So how to call this add salary? This is inside banking. So we'll be creating an object of banking class. So whichever method you need to call, you need to create an object of that particular class. So we create banking b equal to new banking. We'll say b dot add salary. And then we run it and you're going to see same adding some number is executed over here as well. So without rewriting the entire code, with the help of this jar file, I called this method and the entire code was executed successfully without writing, let's say, 500 lines of code. So this was done with the help of this jar file. So if we talk about this jar file, this is what is acting as an API to our American Express project. And if
Rahul, a small doubt.
Yeah.
Suppose as it is open source, anyone can able to extend the functionality. Yes. Then suppose any one person is extending the new functionalities, if affecting the existing functionality, who will care of it? And who will the responsibility for that?
See, they are not going to update the code in their global repository that they have. So you are extending this functionality in your project. You can do any changes to it, and that is completely your responsibility.
Not here, not
doing
here.
The changes.
Yeah, no, not this. Actually, told that right is a open source. Selenium is open source API. Anyone can extend these functionalities if they required in the Selenium itself, Selenium API itself. Suppose API, suppose in API extended the functionality of Selenium, not for this project. If any functionality affecting the existing functionality, then it affects the whole API, right? If anyone is taking care of this while this.
So the person who is extending the functionality is responsible for it.
Sorry?
I mean, you are trying to say that who is responsible for who is extending that functionality?
Yeah.
I mean,
actually Selenium is having multiple functionalities, right?
so if
Multiple
you're doing
methods,
any
multiple
changes,
procedures.
if you're doing any changes in the existing library, then you will be responsible for that update, right? Because you're not checking that code to
Yes,
this repository. If you are working with those guys, if you have created any functionality and you want to check in that code to that Selenium official, let's say GitHub repository, then you need a permission from them. So they'll validate your functionality, and then you checking that code. That code will be tested and go through all the cycles, and then that will be merged to the final release.
thanks, Rahul. That means some authority is there to
Yeah.
implement these new enhancements into the existing one.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a whole big community of Selenium.
Okay,
So you
thank
should be able to find the Selenium community on this GitHub official page. So Selenium GitHub page, you'll see over here. This is Selenium HQ GitHub. So this is where you should be able to see the Java code, the JavaScript. This is the official Selenium project. You'll see related to Java. You'll find the classes of Selenium. Everything you're gonna find it over
Thank
here.
you, Rahul. That means anyone is added, it will be tested, and everything is
Yes.
okay. Then only they will
Yes.
put it in the
So
job.
this is
Thanks,
their
thanks,
project code. Yeah.
thanks,
In
sir.
case
Thanks,
you
sir.
want to see the coding part, you should be able to see it from here as well.
Thank you. Thanks for the information. Thank you.
Right. Okay. So that's what I said. I mean, Selenium is like this jar file only. This jar file, like it acts as an API, same way. Selenium is available in a form of a single jar file or multiple collection of jar files. You can download this Selenium from here, from the official website. Just go to download, and you'll find the latest version of Selenium is 4.17.0. Simply click on it, and it is going to give you like don't download it from here, because you're gonna get multiple files. For the time being, download Selenium from here, latest stable version 4.17.0. Here you're gonna get one single jar file. So this is downloaded to my downloads, and it scans. So we'll go to download. See, this is the jar file downloaded, 37 MB jar file. That's it. That is what your Selenium is, not like 1 GB or 2 GB file. So you just need to right click on this project, say build path, add external archives, and select, go to downloads and select this jar file. That's it. Configuration of Selenium is done. You need JDK, you need Eclipse, you need this jar file. And now you can automate any website in the world. So calculator jar file contains calculator class. Which class is there in this Selenium jar file? So let me comment out this. And one of the class is Chrome driver. You want to automate things on Chrome driver, on Chrome browser, you need to call this class and create an object of this class. Like you created object of banking, you created object of calculator. Now you are creating object of Chrome driver, which is inside this jar file. And what happens if you create an object, save this and run this, you're going to see a browser launches. See, a Chrome browser launches just by writing one single line of code. Just by creating object of Chrome driver class and clicking on the run button, it launches a Chrome browser. So where that code is written to launch a browser, maybe some 1000 lines of code is written to launch a browser with very complex logic. But where is that code written?
In Selenium jar.
In constructor.
Inside Selenium jar file. Where
Selenium.
inside the Selenium jar file?
Oh, that we can expand and check maybe.
Reference library.
So this is inside the Chrome driver class.
Driver class.
It's
Okay.
written, it's because we are calling, we're creating a Chrome driver class object, right? So the
Right.
code must be inside Chrome driver class only. But where inside the Chrome driver class?
That
Where?
WebDriver?
No, we have not called any WebDriver. We have called Chrome driver class. In Chrome driver class, there's a code written which is launching the browser. Like in calculator,
in
there's a code
constructor, sir.
written.
Sir, in constructor it has been written because We are not calling any method. We are just calling this line and driver browser is getting launched.
See, we have not called any method. We are not calling like add salary or add
Yeah.
method. We are just creating object of a class. As soon as an object of class is created, the very first thing is called as a constructor. Even if you don't write this, if you just write this, click on run button, the very first thing that will be called is a constructor, and it's going to launch the browser. The code is written inside the constructor itself, which is going to launch the browser. And now you need that reference variable so that you can call other methods from this class. So when you say driver dot, you get list of all the methods inside this class. The very first method you should be starting with is get. So get, what this get method is going to do, it accepts URL in a form of a string. String means double quotes. And here you need to provide the URL. Let's say http waytoautomation.com. Save this and run this. And now it's going to launch the browser. We'll navigate to automation. That is how you will be starting with Selenium. Right? And one by one, you keep on calling all the methods. Let's say you want to, very first test case is to get the title of the page. How to get it? You get list of methods. So one of the methods is get title. It is going to return the title, but not print the title, because printing task is not of Selenium. It is of Java. How to print in Java? You simply need to do system out println and put this thing in system out println. So what it will do now, it will launch the browser, navigate to waytoautomation.com and get the title of the page. So see, title is this, and if you see, the title is printed over here.
Rahul, is there some file or some video or somebody will help me all the installations for Mac?
Yes, like all the installation of Mac is already given over here. So I'll let you know. I mean, you just need to go to this course, go to all courses, and go to this one. And here you'll find the Mac configuration. So let me show it to you. Mac configure, yeah. So how to configure Java, Eclipse, Maven, and other things on Mac.
Okay.
Right. The only thing you need to make sure is when I recorded this video, we need to create .bash profile on Mac. So instead of creating .bash profile, you need to say .z profile, .z profile. We are that's it. So when you watch this video, you should be able to see this term bash profile. Instead of bash profile, just write Z profile. That's it.
This is the upgrade version something, huh?
Yeah. So latest Mac is actually supporting this.
Sure, sure. It is the second tab of the main folder.
Yeah. So yeah, second course is this.
Understood.
Yeah. So under that, just when you're logged in, you should be able to see it.
Sure. Thank you.
You'll find Mac. Okay. Right. So that is what Selenium is. So no record and play, nothing like a tool, just the collection of classes, methods that you need to call over here, and you can automate any website. Same way, when I mentioned in the beginning, if we talk about Selenium, why Selenium is very popular. So Selenium automates only the web part. So we have mentioned web part. If we talk about mobile application, we have APM. APM is nothing, it's a wrapper over Selenium. So this also comes in a form of a jar. If we talk about database automation, like we want to write some SQL queries and get it from database through programming, then we have jar files available for SQL, MySQL, Oracle. We want to automate APIs, we have REST assured. So all these jars, you can easily get it from different website or one major website, which is called as MVN repository. You want to do API automation, just search for REST assured. You get the jar file over here. See, for testing of REST services. Go over here, click on this, and click on this bundle, and you'll see a jar file is getting downloaded. Same way, search for APM. You want to automate mobile. This is Java client for APM mobile driver. You go over here, click on the latest version, download the jar file. And once it is downloaded, go to your project, right click, say build path, add external archive. This is the REST assured. This is the APM. Open it. Now in the same project, you can do UI automation using Selenium. You can access the classes of REST assured API. You can do API automation. You can access the classes of this APM. You can do mobile automation without paying any license. In the same project, you can do UI automation, you can do API automation, you can do mobile automation, you can connect to the database. Not only this, there is WinApp driver available through which you can even automate this desktop part. So desktop applications as well, like you can launch a notepad and do automation of notepad as well. So APM developers have created another jar file which is called as WinApp This is another open source jar file. So you can see if you know Selenium, you can include all these things in one single project, and you can create a master framework which can handle the UI layer, the API layer, the mobile layer, the database layer in one single project itself. And these days, frameworks are designed in such a way that it can automate all these things in one single project. So yeah, but yes, to get started with, you should first start with the UI automation part, because Selenium will actually going to help you in building up your base for automation. Once your base is built up, then you are just accessing other jars and calling their classes and methods and automating those functionalities. That's it. The only challenge is to first get started with automation. First, you need to understand how automation actually works. And for that, for all these things, you need basic core Java concepts. That's it. No advanced Java. Once you know Java, you'll be able to work with all these. So these are the things that you should be learning down the line. It's not like within 3 months you have to finish all these things. Slowly and steadily, once your base is built up, then keep on adding these things. But once you have all these things in your resume, then it will gonna give a great weightage to your resume.
Rahul, a quick question.
Mhm.
Yeah, we have discussed about that Selenium would be helpful in UI automation, and as far as the rest assured would be helpful in API automation. And where does this DevOps fit in exactly?
DevOps is something like we talked about various tools, Jenkins, Maven,
Okay.
Git, GitHub, Dockers. These are all DevOps tools. So DevOps is like if you talk about few years back, there was no DevOps team. So these things were configured by developers or the automation test engineers or the architect as well. So now they've created a separate department, which is which they don't have to do anything with the programming part. They are only focused on the configuration part, the environment that developers are using, the environment that testers are using. So they are responsible for setting up all these environments.
Okay.
If you want to execute anything on the cloud network like AWS, so we execute Selenium test as well on AWS.
Yeah.
So DevOps engineer, they know how to configure AWS.
Okay, it's
Even
different configuration.
automation test engineer, they should know how to integrate AWS with their Selenium project, so that whenever they're asked to execute things on a cloud to AWS through Azure, if their company has taken license for it, they should be able to do that thing. So we're gonna do AWS integration in this course as well, and I'll show you Dockers, AWS, all these things.
Sure.
So I'll be covering all this practically. So that is the reason in DevOps course, we are going to cover all these things in very, very depth.
Okay.
Right? And in Selenium, we are going to do integration of all these things.
Okay.
So you're going to have advantage of both Selenium as well as of DevOps.
Yeah.
Right? So that is what I mean. Without all these integrations, we cannot create a live project.
Okay.
So we'll be covering all these things in depth in our live training. So that is why Selenium is very, very popular. Now you may have seen other tools like Cypress is there, Playwright is there. So, but still the monopoly of Selenium is still there in the industry. Although it's very old, there are new technologies available, but still Selenium guys are also doing enhancement on a daily basis. You'll see new APIs releasing. The Java 4.17 released in January itself. So they also keep on enhancing this project, and still Selenium market is very stable in automation. But yes, Selenium is not the only thing you need to know as an automation test engineer. This is your start in automation, right? So
Can I
yeah,
have a
that
question?
yeah, yeah.
So these days we have like React.js and Node.js coming up, right? Moving away from normal
So
HTML5.
yes, so that's what I mean. See, there are a lot of things in automation. So there are some people where the demand is in Python more. There are some requirements where you have Node.js, JavaScript demand, where Cypress is there, Playwright, JavaScript, TypeScript is there, right? So a lot of things are there, but all the base is started from Selenium itself. If you know
True, I
Selenium, you can
agree with
keep on
that, but
adding these things.
my only question is Selenium 4 is going to be helpful with the new platform because everyone is moving towards the React.js or the Node.js or JavaScript.
Yeah, I mean,
None of the applications are still with HTML5. So object identification is becoming difficult with Selenium 3. That's why I'm asking.
yeah, I mean, so see, like React applications, some of the applications Selenium can easily automate. Uh, just that, I mean, where the object identification, the element locators are difficult to identify. For those things, we may add additional like dependency of Playwright, and or we may switch to Cypress, but it's not like still you'll see majorly the market of Selenium is there just for the like all latest React based applications where the elements are complex to identify. There we need to find an alternate. But Selenium guys, they are coming up with the support of this React and other node applications as well. So it's not like a Selenium project, they're not very effectively involved in it. So they're actually working on all these areas. So maybe like if you come across any such application where you see that Selenium is unable to locate that element, so try to change the locators, try to identify because if the DOM is available, the HTML component is available, then you should be able to work with Selenium. But yes, if the HTML is not there, if it is not exposed, then at times it is difficult to automate that application using Selenium. Because Selenium is going to interact with the HTML components only. So if
Mm,
HTML is
yeah.
not there,
Is
then
Selenium
Selenium.
4 resolving all these issues?
Yes,
Or-
yes. They have all these things. Maybe in upcoming releases, you may gonna see some support for those areas as well.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
Rahul, what are additional features in Selenium 4?
Additional features is something you may have heard about CDP. CDP as in the Chrome Dev Tool protocol features. So like apart from the web element handling, you can mock your this like you can like if I talk about have you seen this dev tools? If you inspect it, you see some dev tools over here. This is what Chrome Dev Tool. So, like at times we need to test our application on a slow network, a slow 3G network, a fast 3G network. So manually we select it from here and then perform testing. So these things you can automate it using Selenium for. If you want to, like you want to see your screen dimensions like a mobile device, and then you want to see how your application reacts when it is on this. So you can change the dimensions, the height and width using this CDP feature of Selenium. You want to mock your geolocation. You want to see that if I'm accessing my website, I'm right now in India, I want to see how the application looks like when it is accessed from London. So you can do that thing as well. So these are some of the things. Not only this, there are a lot of things. So there is, if you search for Chrome Dev Tools protocol. So all these things you should be able to handle it using Selenium. So like device orientation is there, its emulation is there. So you can set up a you can override your geolocation. So a lot of things that you can do using Selenium. So these are some of the things that you can automate using Selenium. So this is apart from the element handling stuff, which they came up in Selenium for. So we'll be learning the Chrome DevTool features as well. There are some of the examples. Then I've also created a dedicated course on Selenium 4. So if you go to this library, you'll see a Selenium 4 features. I've covered a lot of features like this CDP, print to PDF, then a lot of things, a lot of new functionalities that they have added, capturing full page screenshot, all the new relative locators they've added. So all these things, I've created a separate course dedicated for Selenium 4 features only. And then this grid 4 is, sorry?
According to the current market, do we need to update with Selenium 4?
Yes, we should be learning the latest one only. So Selenium 3.2 no one is using. I mean, if there are still projects designed in Selenium 3, then you just need to switch the dependency to Selenium 4. All those projects will work absolutely fine. So whatever that was working in Selenium 3 will work as it is in Selenium 4 as well. Just that there's new architecture, new features being introduced in Selenium 4, which you can extend it in your current Selenium 3 project as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Right.
Rahul,
Okay.
one more question from me.
Yeah.
So since long time I wanted to ask that. So you told that there were three components, right, in Selenium. So I got the two that one is ID, that is like
Record and play.
record and play, and second was like driver, where
WebDriver.
yeah, where the code parts get called. And what about grid? So how like
Grid is for remote distribution of test cases.
oh, that I got it, but like what is it like? Is a file API or what? Like
It's basically a jar file. This is your grid jar only. The one that we have downloaded. This is a combination of grid jar, your hub. That is if you go to selenium.dev. So this is your grid server basically. This one. To
okay,
use grid
so it comes only in the same package.
Yes. This consists of your hub and nodes.
Okay, and what about ID? Where it comes? It is a plugin.
ID you just need to download from here. You just go to homepage and this is where you can download configure ID. So it's just like a plugin. So download for Chrome, for Firefox.
And they have this also in 4.0 also, right?
This is 4.0 only. In
Yeah.
Selenium 3, it was not available for Chrome. Now in 4, it is available for Chrome as well as for Firefox.
So when ID is not so much, so why they are keeping it? I mean, any particular.
It's just like one of the features that they have. So
Is
if
it because like if I want to automate something, like I can just take that and fast coding like that? That's
yeah,
a
it's like if someone wants to do record and play and want to get locators from there, but it's unnecessary. Like you are investing more time in learning the features of IDE. So later on, you have to use it in a project only. I mean, later on, you have to move to some coding platform because all the integrations that we talked about, Jenkins, Maven, Dockers, you cannot do it when you're working with Selenium IDE. So it's just like your start in Selenium, it's just like an extension. See, this is just an extension to your browser. That's it. I mean, it is not going to help you when you have a big website for automation. You have so many test cases, so many modules. Then it is very difficult to manage those things in Selenium IDE.
And earlier it used to have RC also. So RC they dropped, but still they are
Yeah,
not.
RC was the very first version. So like the second version came as WebDriver. So RC was also a coding part. Then WebDriver came into the market, which
Okay.
has got so many features. RC was very small coding project.
Thank you.
Right. So that's all, guys, for today's session. I hope you guys have enjoyed the session, and we are done with like 2 hours 17 minutes session. I hope you guys have not got bored, and you've enjoyed today's session.
Sir,
Yeah.
I just wanted to know, you have showed how to download that Selenium from the dev.
Do you have any steps to go to Eclipse and do that? Like, or just see the recording and do?
Yeah, I mean, you need to go through the today's recording. I'll be sharing it very soon with all of you guys. So steps are very, very straightforward. I mean, you just need to Google around and download Eclipse, and then when you launch Eclipse, you need to add the jar file. That's it. So if you go
Rahul,
through the recording once again, you should be able to follow it easily.
Rahul, one quick question. In the process of while practicing this post this session, if we come across any kind of queries or issues, so shall we?
You'll be added to the WhatsApp group of the
Okay.
new batch that
Okay.
we are starting. So
Okay.
you can post all your queries in the WhatsApp
Right.
group.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. All right, guys. So thank you everyone for joining in. I'll be sharing the recording with you guys soon. And next week, I'll be creating up the WhatsApp group for Java and the Selenium batches. And new meeting invites will be shared for both Java and Selenium. Right?
Sure. Thanks, Rahul.
How can we get in 2-3 days of what?
Sorry?
Can we
Trinath, your voice
the
is
session?
breaking. Your voice is not audible.
Can we get recording in 2-3 days?
Yeah, I'll try to upload it by tomorrow itself. Don't worry. As soon as possible, I'll try to upload it. Don't worry. Right? And guys who are new and want to enroll yourself, you can directly go to Way to Automation, and from here, just simply enroll yourself to the lifetime membership package. So once you are enrolled, you'll be eligible to attend all the trainings for free for the lifetime. From here, you can enroll, and you get access to the complete video library. Right. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you all for joining in. Meet you next weekend.
Thanks,
you
Rahul.
all.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
Ram.
Thanks.